Do you bring to mind the decade of the 1970s? It was a time of pet rocks, Saturday morning cartoons, and Farrah Fawcett as the ultimate style icon. Certainly there was political turmoil, but for us children, it was the prime era to grow up. If you believe it was solely about end fashion trends, you'd be mistaken. Let's explore 25 reasons why the 70s were the most fantastic decade to be a kid. Ready arrived on vinyl, cassette, and 8-track. In the 1970s, our consumption was as much about the medium as the songs themselves. Vinyl records, cassette tapes, and 8-track cartridges were the preferred methods for enjoyment, each presenting a distinctive experience. Vinyl, the most iconic of the trio, was cherished for its superior audio fidelity. Listening to a vinyl record was more than just hearing. It was a ritual. You would delicately extract the record from its sleeve, position the needle, and allow the rich, warm sounds to envelop the room. Album covers often served as artwork, with intricate designs and liner notes that added a layer of personal connection to the listening experience. Cassettes, conversely, introduced portability into the equation. Compact and easily transportable, they were ideal for road trips or private listening, especially when paired with the latest tape players or boomboxes. And then there were 8-tracks, a peculiar format recognized for its bulky design, but pioneering in its capability to seamlessly loop. While less favored than its counterparts, it symbolized the era's experimentation with technology. School lunches had a rather loose definition of healthy. In the 1970s, the concept of healthy when discussing school lunches was quite open to interpretation. Just examine a 1974 Texas school lunch menu and you'll grasp the point. The so-called brain food of that period featured substantial options such as chili, burgers, hamburgers, oven-fried chicken, buttered corn, and the ubiquitous fruit gelatin. Balanced? Perhaps not by today's standards, but back then, the priority was satisfying hungry children while maintaining budget-friendly meals. Nutritional considerations took a backseat to flavor and filling portions. Frankly, it's surprising we didn't doze off throughout our afternoon classes with those carb-heavy meals. Yet there was something comforting. The world felt safer and more secure thanks to Fred Rogers. In the 1970s, the world appeared a little less daunting because of Fred Rogers. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood wasn't just a popular program due to limited TV channel choices. It was a source of comfort for children everywhere. The iconic theme song, "Won't You Be My Neighbor," wasn't simply catchy. It felt like a warm embrace through the television screen, reassuring us that everything would be all right. Fred Rogers possessed an extraordinary ability to connect with his audience. His gentle voice, kind manner, and thoughtful words cultivated a sense of safety that seemed almost magical for kids confronting fears, insecurities, or even just the everyday challenges of growing up. His calm approach was akin to a beacon of hope. He made difficult subjects feel approachable and provided the reassurance we didn't even realize we needed. His lessons weren't flashy or loud, yet they stayed with us. He taught us about kindness, empathy, and the importance of being ourselves, all while helping us feel more courageous about facing the world. In an era before the internet or constant distractions, Fred Rogers crafted a peaceful, safe haven where children could feel seen, heard, and valued. That feeling of security is the reason he remains an enduring figure of comfort and trust. We'd head to the video arcade with a pocket overflowing with quarters. In the 1970s, the video arcade was the ultimate weekend destination, and all you required was a pocket brimming with quarters. Unlike today's gaming setups, where endless rounds of Pac-Man or Fortnite are just a button press away, playing video games back then demanded genuine effort and some saved allowance money. Each game cost a quarter, which made every moment at the controls feel significant. Every move mattered because running out of coins literally meant game over. Getting to the arcade was an adventure in itself. We'd save up all week, eagerly awaiting that precious opportunity when our parents would finally consent to a trip. Once inside, it was like entering another dimension. The glowing screens, the beeps and bloops of the machines, and the thrill of competing for the highest score made it all worthwhile. Playing wasn't solely about the games, it was about the atmosphere, the social buzz, and the sensation of freedom that came with it. Learning the bump was the only dance move you needed. In the 1970s, you didn't require an extensive collection of dance steps to dominate the dance floor. Mastering the bump was all you needed. This simple, repetitive move involved bumping hips with your dance partners as if it were the most fashionable thing imaginable. It wasn't complicated, but that's precisely what made it so enjoyable. It was easy to learn, and before you knew it, you'd be grooving in unison with the crowd. What made the bump so unforgettable was the energy and attitude it conveyed. It felt a tad cheeky, perhaps even slightly rebellious for its time. Yet it was purely fun. Put on a track like KC and the Sunshine Band's Shake, 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 Shake Your Booty, and we'd be hip bumping our way through the night, never missing a beat. The simplicity meant you could continue indefinitely, and we often did. What's your cherished memory from growing up in the 70s that you believe everyone should know about? We experienced Star Wars for the first time with absolutely no prior expectations. In 1977, experiencing Star Wars for the first time was an unparalleled event, primarily because we went in with zero anticipation. Back then, there were no spoilers, no hype from older siblings, parents, or pop culture informing us it was a masterpiece. We didn't recognize the names Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, or Darth Vader, and we certainly had no inkling of how iconic they would become. We entered that theater completely unaware and emerged with our minds utterly blown. It was a genuine, unadulterated experience. The opening crawl, the Star Destroyer stretching across the screen, the initial clash of lightsabers, it was all novel and exhilarating. There wasn't a guidebook or a list of must-see moments. Every twist, every battle, and every line of dialogue felt like it was ours to discover. For that generation, Star Wars wasn't just a movie, it was a shared phenomenon that united us and sparked our imaginations in ways nothing else could. A private phone call was determined by the length of your rotary phone cord. In the 1970s, privacy during a phone call wasn't guaranteed. It was a test of resourcefulness and the length of your rotary phone cord. Mobile phones were still in the realm of science fiction, so every conversation commenced at the home phone, often permanently installed on the wall, with a cord as your sole link to potential privacy. For many, that phone resided in the kitchen, the busiest room in the house, which meant you had to be inventive if you wished to avoid your entire family overhearing. The objective? Stretch that cord as far as it would extend. Could you reach the next room, around the corner, perhaps even a closet or a hallway with a door? Success hinged on the cord's reach and your level of stealth. If the cord didn't quite reach, you were confined to whispering or carefully censoring every word. It was possible to open junk mail without fearing viruses. In the 1970s, opening junk mail didn't carry the digital risks we encounter today. Back then, the worst thing you might discover in an envelope from an unknown sender was a chain letter, a harmless, yet often irritating request to pass along the message to a dozen friends or risk some vague misfortune. Unless you were particularly superstitious, everyone was obsessed with that Farrah Fawcett poster. In the 1970s, there was one poster that practically everyone felt compelled to have adorning their bedroom. Farrah Fawcett's iconic red swimsuit poster. To put it in contemporary terms, imagine a meme so universally adored that it becomes a cultural phenomenon. Everyone desires it, you see it everywhere, and possessing it signals to the world that you're in the know, that you possess taste, and that you grasp the adult world in a way your peers simply don't. That was the power of the Farrah Fawcett poster. Farrah, with her radiant smile, feathered hair, and unforgettable swimsuit, became the epitome of beauty and coolness. It wasn't just a poster, it was a symbol. It declared, "I'm part of something bigger, I get it." Displaying that poster on your wall wasn't solely about admiring Farrah Fawcett's beauty, although that was certainly part of it. It was about aligning yourself with the zeitgeist of popular culture, demonstrating that you knew precisely what was fashionable, what was cool, and what made you part of the in crowd. Nothing was more joyously terrifying than Jaws. Jaws was a movie that elevated fear to an entirely new level. In the summer of 1975, Steven Spielberg's thriller didn't rely on showy special effects or endless shark attacks. In fact, we barely saw the shark at all, just a few fleeting glimpses near the end. But that was part of its brilliance. What Jaws accomplished so masterfully was tapping into our primal fear. It was all psychological. The suspense, the buildup. It ignited our imaginations. Before we even realized it, Jaws had an entire generation terrified of every body of water. It didn't matter if it was the ocean, a lake, a swimming pool, or even the bathtub. It felt like there was a shark lurking just beneath the surface. You could be paddling around in a pool and suddenly feel a shiver, convinced a shark fin was about to emerge from the water. What's one thing from the 70s that you believe kids today would never comprehend? Shag carpeting made the best bed imaginable. There's a uniquely comforting sensation of sinking into shag carpeting, a feeling that only a genuine 70s kid can fully appreciate. The thick, plush texture of those carpets seemed to welcome you, enveloping you in warmth and softness. It wasn't solely for walking upon, it was the ideal spot to lie down and stretch out. Whether you were relaxing after school or simply playing around, that shag carpet was the ultimate retreat. One of the most memorable experiences, making snow angels on the shag instead of snow. You'd spread your arms and legs on the carpet, and the long, soft fibers would leave impressions like a personal imprint of fun. It was a simple, almost magical experience that made you feel like you were part of something larger, part of the cozy, carefree vibe of the 70s home. There was nothing quite like the pleasure of simply letting your body unwind into that carpet, and for many of us, that memory still brings a smile to our faces. Shag carpeting wasn't merely a home furnishing, it was a playground, a bed, and a source of comfort all rolled into one. We were allowed outside without parental supervision. In the 1970s, kids enjoyed a degree of freedom that's difficult to fathom today. Whether you grew up in the city or the countryside, it wasn't unusual to be sent outside with nothing more than a be home by dinner and a sense of adventure. There were no constant check-ins or phone calls, and the concept of a parent accompanying you wasn't even considered. You were simply free to roam, explore, and create your own fun. This was a period when sidewalks, backyards, and local parks became the playgrounds for entire generations of children. Without the constant watchfulness of parents, we figured out how to navigate the world independently, finding friends to play tag, building forts, or riding our bikes for miles. The sense of independence was exhilarating. For many of us, it felt like a golden age of childhood, where the world seemed just a bit larger and our place in it a bit more thrilling. And riding your bike didn't require extra equipment. In the 1970s, cycling epitomized freedom and adventure, notably without the safety equipment prevalent today. Helmets were practically unheard of. In fact, donning one was almost an admission of expecting to crash. It was the 70s, after all, and children rode their bikes as if training for the next significant stunt. The notion of a helmet seemed absurd. If you deemed one necessary, you were likely perceived as less daring than your peers. We sped down streets, raced down hills, and executed jumps as though we were the next Evel Knievel, all without a second thought to potential hazards. Of course, we experienced our share of falls and bumps, but in those days it was simply part of the excitement. We were oblivious to the risks of unprotected heads, but those were times of carefree adventure, where the thrill of the ride was paramount. Bruises were worn as badges of honor, and a scraped knee or minor concussion was just part of the fun. In the 70s, biking wasn't about safety, it was about velocity, stunts, and liberation. Saturday mornings were exclusively for cartoons. Saturday mornings in the 1970s were truly enchanting. If you desired to watch your beloved cartoons, there was only one time slot: Saturday morning, and you had to be present, tuned in precisely on time. There were no on-demand streaming services to binge-watch shows like children have today. If you missed it, you simply missed it, plain and simple. And honestly, we wouldn't have had it any other way. There was something particularly special about the anticipation that grew throughout the week. You knew that come Saturday morning, it was your designated time to settle down with a bowl of cereal and immerse yourself in the world of Bugs Bunny, Scooby-Doo, and the rest of the cherished cartoon cast. You had to make every moment count because that was the extent of your viewing window. Tiger Beat was the only news source we required. In the 1970s, Tiger Beat was more than just a magazine. It was our portal to a world of fantasy where teen idols like Shaun Cassidy and David Cassidy reigned supreme. Admittedly, much of the gossip and headlines within the magazine were likely mere publicity ploys, meticulously crafted by publicists to sustain the illusion of perfection. But we were unconcerned. In fact, we adored it. We embraced the glamour and the drama, captivated by the idea that these flawless, heartthrob teenagers were out there somewhere, living their ideal lives. The realm of celebrity was all the news we needed. Adult news felt distant and irrelevant. We held no interest in politics, global events, or anything else that preoccupied grown-ups. Tiger Beat provided everything we craved: captivating stories, exclusive interviews, and the thrill of glimpsing into the lives of the stars we idolized. It was all about the fantasy, and we wholeheartedly embraced it. Which 70s trend or fad do you secretly miss the most? Pet rocks were considered actual pets in the 1970s. We had a rather unique perspective on pets. Some of us owned rocks, and not merely as decorations or souvenirs, but as genuine pets. We would name them, take them on outings, and even carry them in our pockets, pretending they were as significant as a dog or cat. They couldn't display affection, of course, but that didn't deter us from treating them like family members. Even more astonishingly, we spent actual money on them. There were actual stores and street vendors selling rocks, despite rocks being ubiquitous. You literally couldn't walk a few steps without stumbling over one. But the allure wasn't in the rock itself. It was in the concept of possessing a special rock, one that was unique and that we could claim as our very own. We learned everything essential from Schoolhouse Rock. Schoolhouse Rock served as the ultimate educational secret weapon for 70s kids. It didn't feel like school at all, yet it imparted everything we needed to know about grammar, math, science, and even politics. Those catchy melodies and vibrant cartoons had a magical knack for subtly embedding lessons into our minds without us even realizing it. Who would have imagined we'd learn about conjunctions or how bills become laws while tapping our feet to the conjunction junction? What's your function? We could still recite that song today without missing a single word. The brilliance of Schoolhouse Rock lay in its ability to transform dry subjects into enjoyable, memorable experiences. The songs were so infectious they lodged in our brains, and by the time an episode concluded, we'd absorbed information that we'd stay up late specifically to watch Saturday Night Live. Back in the late 70s, Saturday Night Live epitomized late-night rebellion. It was this mysterious, edgy show that we could only dream of watching. For us as children, it wasn't just a TV program. It was a glimpse into an adult world that we were eager to explore. A world brimming with jokes, skits, and celebrities that were far removed from our usual Saturday morning cartoons. Managing to watch even 5 minutes of SNL felt like we were getting away with something. We had to stay up late, sneaking past parents who didn't quite grasp the big deal, but to us, it was like being part of some secret club, catching glimpses of the humor, the and the chaos that made Saturday Night Live such a unique cultural phenomenon. Extensive road trips occurred in the back of your family's station wagon. Road trips in the 70s were a completely different experience. Forget about the tech-savvy, entertainment-filled journeys of today. We lacked GPS navigation or any digital devices to occupy us. No smartphones, no iPods, no tablets, no portable DVD players. Instead, we piled into the back of our family's station wagon, and the real adventure commenced. The drive could extend for hours, sometimes 8 or more, and we had to be inventive to pass the time. There was no easy escape into the latest video game or streaming show. Instead, we created our own car games, such as I Spy, or counting how many blue cars we could spot. But as the hours dragged on, we often slipped into that classic road trip daze, gazing out the window at the endless passing scenery, allowing the hum of the engine and the gentle rhythm of the road to become a kind of meditative lull. If someone wanted to bully you, they had to do it face to face. Bullying in the 70s was considerably more direct than it is today. If someone intended to be cruel, they had to do it in person. There were no social media platforms to hide behind, no anonymous messages to dispatch. If someone had something hurtful to say, they had to approach you, look you in the eye, and articulate it aloud. As uncomfortable as that might have been, there was a certain rawness and immediacy to it. Sure, the words could still sting, and the experience could leave lasting scars, but there was a level of accountability. You couldn't conceal yourself behind a keyboard, and it was more challenging to disseminate rumors or target someone in the same manner we see today. If someone was acting like a jerk, they were doing it in front of witnesses, making it considerably harder to evade the consequences of their actions. We had both Sesame Street and The Muppet Show. Sesame Street had already established itself as a groundbreaking children's program, blending playful characters with valuable lessons about numbers, letters, and social skills. Grover, Ernie, Bert, Big Bird, and the rest of the endearing cast didn't just instruct us. They made learning enjoyable and memorable. The songs and skits were so catchy you could learn the alphabet without even realizing you were memorizing it. Then there was The Muppet Show, where things adopted a more zany, adult-tinged flair. Kermit the Frog was ubiquitous. From hosting his iconic variety show to starring in wacky skits with guests like Steve Martin and Diana Ross, he was an unmistakable celebrity for kids as well as a cultural icon of the era, uniting humor for both children and adults in a way that was innovative for its time. Nobody was cooler than the Fonz. Happy Days gifted us the ultimate cultural icon. The Fonz, portrayed by Henry Winkler, was a symbol of effortless coolness that captivated children and adults alike. With his leather jacket, slick back hair, and ever-present "Hey, Fonzie" was the personification of swagger. His laid-back, almost mystical confidence was something we all admired, even though we could never truly replicate it. What made the Fonz so cool wasn't just his style or catchphrase, though those were part of it. It was his ability to command respect without effort. Whether he was fixing jukeboxes with a single punch or effortlessly diffusing tension with a smile, Fonzie was the epitome of charm and strength in a manner that seemed timeless, almost otherworldly. He was the guy who could always get the girl, stand up for what was right, and manage to look cool doing it, all while making it look so easy. Bowl cuts were considered fashionable in the 1970s. The bowl cut was all the rage, and it wasn't exclusive to stylish or trendy kids. It seemed like every child sported the same look, inspired by the wholesome, cute appearance of Adam Rich, who played the youngest son Nicholas on the hit TV show 8 is Enough. This distinctive haircut became a must-have for many. Whether you resided in the suburbs or the city, you could count on seeing plenty of kids with hair that appeared to have been trimmed around their heads by a parent using nothing more than a salad bowl as a template. While the look was undeniably simple, it was also oddly charming and a rite of passage for many 70s kids. There was something effortlessly cool about it, even if it looked like the work of an amateur stylist. The bowl cut was a unifying hairstyle that blurred social class distinctions. It didn't matter if you were rich or poor. This was the haircut to have. Though we now reflect and question why we ever thought it was a good idea at the time, we believed we were the height of fashion, channeling that wholesome TV star aesthetic. It's a hairstyle forever etched in 70s nostalgia, a goofy yet beloved part of the decade's charm. The clothes were insane. The 70s fashion scene was truly something to behold. Looking back at those old photos, we might cringe a little, but there's a part of us that secretly loves the eccentricity and boldness of the era's clothing. Everyone was on board with it. Whether you were a teenager or an adult, you rocked those wide-collar shirts, bell-bottom pants, and psychedelic patterns. It was a time when being loud and proud with your fashion choices was the norm. Bell-bottoms, with their dramatic flair, conveyed the illusion of a carefree attitude, while polyester fabrics and crazy prints ensured you stood out in a crowd. And who could forget the platform shoes? We were all walking a few inches taller, strutting around in shoes that could double as a workout for your calves. It was a decade where fashion was all about self-expression, and while it may seem outrageous today, there's a certain charm in how we all collectively embrace the wild trends. The 70s were insane, and that's precisely what made them so fun. Step back into the 1970s, a decade of profound change that reshaped America in ways we still perceive today. From the emergence of bold genres like soul, jazz, and the genesis of punk, to the cultural revolution ignited by empowered women and the debut of the first Star Wars film, the 70s were a period of transformation. But it wasn't solely celebratory. This was also an era of unrest, with protests, political scandals, and environmental concerns taking center stage. In this video, we'll explore rare photos that capture the essence of this pivotal era, where change was palpable and history was in the making. Hollywood BLD 1963 sidewalk merchandise on Chicago's South Side, June 19, 73, 42nd and Park Avenue, Midtown Manhattan, New York, 1965. Worshippers at Holy Angel Catholic Church on Chicago's South Side, October 1973, Coney Island Avenue and Brighton Beach Avenue, New York, 1980s. A student at the Westinghouse Industrial Vocation School on Chicago's West Side, May 1973, Dr. Pepper promotion in 1976. Heavy traffic on the Dan Ryan Expressway in Chicago, Illinois, October 1973. Crossing the Colorado River at Topak. A family enjoys a picnic in their yard somewhere in Maryland, captured in June 1960. Southside group of children enjoying a playground at 40th and Drexel Boulevard, October 1973. Heading out for a dance, 70s style. Left Wabash Street Bridge spanning the Chicago River, October 1973. Right, A woman in a swimsuit relishes a summer outing at Chicago's 12th Street Beach on Lake Michigan, August 1973. Grocery shopping at Publix in Hollywood, Florida in 1966. Swimmers take to the waters at 12th Street Beach on Lake Michigan in August of 1973. Grocery shopping at Safeway in 1968. Mother and child during a day out at Chicago's 12th Street Beach on Lake Michigan, August 1973. What were your go-to food choices at Ponderosa or Bonanza Steakhouse? Browsing the wine section while shopping, circa 1976. The featured photograph captures a mobile home park in New Ulm, Brown County, Minnesota, near Wood Island Station, East Boston, Massachusetts, 1973. White Cloud, Kansas, 1974. Outdoor food market at Haymarket Square, Boston, 1973. Rifle, Garfield County, Colorado, 1973. El Paso, Texas, 1972. Main Street of the Hugh, West Virginia, 1974. Avenue D Housing Project, Lower East Side of Manhattan, New York, 1974. Shepherd Home near Leakey, Texas, 1973. Newport Beach, California, 1975. Dressed in your finest for church and perhaps a leisurely walk on Sundays. Woolworth's Home Decor Department in 1969, 60th Street Corner, Laguna Beach, California. Thanksgiving at Grandma's house in days gone by. Grocery shopping in 1969. A family relishes a picnic at 12th Street Beach on Lake Michigan, August 1973. Grocery shopping in 1973. Left. Residents of Chicago's West Side examine a motorcycle, June 1973. Right. A high school-age student at a glimpse inside a Sonic drive-in from the early 70s. Muslim women dressed in white applaud Elijah Muhammad during his Savior's Day message in Chicago, March 1974. A&P grocery store in 1973. Did you ever collect S&H green stamps? Linda Ronstadt at her beachside home in Malibu, 1976. Did you ever shop at Caldor? Plenty of conversation, learning, delicious food, and love shared in the kitchen. Did you ever shop at TGNY? Cherished memories from the kids' table on Thanksgiving, 1969. Pizza Hut buffet and salad bar in 1977. Kentucky Fried Chicken in 1970. Preparing for Thanksgiving in bygone days. Kentucky Fried Chicken in the late 1970s. Publix in 1972. Making phone calls in the 1970s. Remember King Vitamin cereal, a childhood favorite from 1968 to 2021, pumping gas in the 1970s. The cinema in Hollywood following the premiere of Paint Your Wagon, 1969. Slumber Party back in the day. Rustler Steakhouse in the 1970s. The good old days. Safeway in December 1970. The grocery checkout circa 1970. School lunch at the cafeteria 1975. The Strand Hermosa Beach 1970s. Sears in December in the 1970s. Vintage stewardesses. Shopping at Kmart in the late 1970s. Wendy's restaurant in 1974, harking back to a time when families would regularly dine in the dining room all the time. Browsing for records in the 1980s. Have you ever considered what life was like for students in the 70s, 80s, and 90s? Did they experience the same wild parties, clubbing, and mischief as students do now? And so, what are your thoughts? Did I capture all the essential aspects of the 70s? Or is there something I overlooked? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this nostalgic journey, explore the other videos in the series. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.